This is my Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam immediate reaction. I've put the skybox on pause immediately after the stoppage, so I'm shooting from the hip here. I haven't had the chance to see a replay. Initial instinct is that that is an early stoppage. Initial instinct is that Carlos Takam, he was certainly hurt. He'd certainly taken his licks in that round. Whether it was time for the referee to step in and wave the fight off, I'm unclear. We'll come back to the stoppage later in this video. This was a fight that was both enthralling and disappointing at the same time for different reasons. The fight started off tentatively. In the second round, a supposedly unintentional headbutt from Carlos Takam connects with Anthony Joshua, causing substantial damage to the nose. Sorry, the headbutt came from Carlos Takam, causing substantial damage to the nose of Anthony Joshua, potentially a broken nose. That seemed to liven things up. Joshua started to let loose, reacted to that headbutt by throwing an array of power punches on Carlos Takam. Joshua had the run of things, rounds 3, 4, 5, Takam getting horrific cuts, one particular over one eye, a lesser cut on the other eye. The referee, the doctors were having to have a look at Takam to see if they needed to stop the fight because of the cuts. I then felt the gas tank started to empty a little bit in the middle rounds. Don't get me wrong, he was still winning all the rounds. There was no round in this fight you could give to Takam. I think Joshua pretty much won every single round of this fight. But what I would say is that Joshua became slightly lower volume, and Carlos Takam kind of came more into the fight in the middle rounds, which was a bit of a surprise considering he'd been down early and considering he'd taken a bit of a shellacking and had bad cuts on both fights. Takam started to bank work to the body of Anthony Joshua. Takam, started to become more ambitious in the fight. You could almost feel, despite the cuts, his confidence starting to grow as he started to put more punches towards Joshua's head. After about 8 or 9 rounds, still I've given every single round to Joshua, but you kind of felt that Joshua looked a little bit tired in there. You kind of felt he looked like the gas tank was starting to empty, and Carlos Takam was still in there, still digging away. He wasn't landing the cleanest of work, but he was catching Joshua from time to time, and whilst Joshua was taking his punches well, I actually thought Takam had the potential to ask some questions in this fight, rounds 10, 11 and 12. Unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the fight was waved off in the 10th round. To be fair to Anthony Joshua, he has now proved on several occasions that he carries his power late on in fights, and he was landing on Takam with crisp, clean power punches in the form of combinations. Takam was wobbled, Takam was on unsteady legs, but I think Takam throughout the course of this fight had shown great fitness and great powers of recovery. And my instinct, and as I say, I'm recording this immediately after the fight, my instinct was that Takam wasn't exactly about to get knocked out there. He was being swarmed all over by Joshua, but not all of those punches were landing, and I thought Takam was looking to recover. I can see that Takam himself was very upset by the stoppage, and yeah, my initial instinct was it was a poor stoppage. I think Takam was coming on stronger, and I'd have been interested to see where the fight would have gone if it had been allowed to continue. But anyway, Joshua was dominant despite the questionable stoppage for me. Joshua, the deserved winner of this fight, won every round, was conclusively the more dangerous fighter of the two in there. His work was a lot more immediately eye-catching, a lot more snap in his work. I do have to question, and I did highlight this in a video I posted yesterday, do have to question Joshua's weight in this fight. As I mentioned, after the Klitschko fight, I wasn't the only one saying it may be to Joshua's benefit if he came into his next fight slightly lighter. Well, here he came in at a career heaviest, and significantly so. 230 pounds was the weight he started his pro career at. He came in yesterday at 254, a stone and 10 pounds higher than his initial debut. And for me, he kind of looked like it. I wonder if a tiny little bit of the speed has gone out of Joshua's work, actually. And I honestly don't think that 254 pounds is going to help him fight a high output fight over 12. Clearly, he's a very, very big puncher, and the power has proven to be the difference on this occasion, busting Carlos Takam up and eventually wobbling him and putting him on unsteady enough legs to get the referee to stop in and call it a day. And you know, to be honest, it was kind of a point at the fight where, unless Joshua had a complete stamina collapse in rounds 11 and 12, Takam wasn't going to win, because Takam was hugely behind on the scorecards, and he hadn't really shown throughout the course of the fight that he had the power to hurt Joshua. So I'm not saying by any stretch that Takam would have rallied to get the win. I'm not saying that by any stretch. I'm just saying it would have been interesting to see how those final few rounds were going to play out, because I thought towards the middle rounds Takam was coming into it more and more, and I thought Joshua just had a little bit of a quieter spell, and I was beginning to wonder if the gas tank was potentially starting to empty. Look, AJ's a very, very good fighter, and there's a lot of things that went against him in this fight. He prepped for Kubrat Pulev, a very tall, upright fighter who would have given him a lot of space and a lot of distance. What he got was a short presser fighter who was looking to rush in on him. You know, he took specific sparring like Robert Helenius for that Pulev matchup. So I think that was a negative for AJ. Clearly the broken nose in the second round that was bleeding profusely was a big negative. How that affected AJ's breathing, I don't know. But I just felt his work was a tiny bit less clinical and a tiny bit less snappy than I've seen previously. And whether that was because of the late notice change of opponent, whether that was because of the broken nose, or whether a lot of credit for that needs to go to Carlos Takam, I don't know. You know, Takam showed a huge amount of heart in there, a huge amount of heart. There were times in this fight where it looked as if he could barely see out of his eyes, but his corner seemed to do a semi-decent job of controlling the flow of blood. He showed a huge amount of heart, and he showed real fitness, powers of recovery, and also ambition. He actually landed some good punches to AJ's body, and you know, there's a potential weakness there for future opponents to take note of. Some of the punches that Takam had landed to AJ's body, if he'd been able to do that with a bit more volume and a bit more regularity, you just wonder how that could have affected the fight as it went on. So huge amount of credit goes to Carlos Takam. He lost this fight, but I think he goes down as a bit of a winner in everyone's book, not only for the amount of money that's going to be in his bank account to soothe that headache in the morning, but also because of the ambition and heart that he showed. As for Anthony Joshua, credit does go to him for defending his world titles against a top 10 heavyweight under difficult circumstances. But I maintain this question mark about his stamina. You know, there were just, and he didn't gas out in this fight, so maybe he has learnt from his mistakes, because he didn't completely gas out in this fight like he did against White and like he did against Vladimir Klitschko. You know, but he got that headbutt on the nose in round 2, and instantly you see him start to unload the gun, start to put heavy power punches after it. And I actually heard McCracken in his corner trying to calm him down, saying, stop doing things, you know, I don't know, this isn't a verbatim quote, but telling Joshua to stop panicking, stop being too aggressive, you know, keep things calm, we can work through the nose issue, etc. So, you know, I still think there's a bit of a stamina concern there for Joshua. I certainly think at the end of round 5, after Takam was badly cut and Joshua had looked to close, I thought there were periods where, you know, his mouth was a bit open and he was a bit low volume, and had Takam not been so badly bust up, perhaps Takam could have really served it up to Joshua in the 6th and 7th round, even more so, like Klitschko did in their fight. You know, but AJ's very, very good. He's stopped a guy who went the distance with Joseph Parker. He's won every round against Takam when Takam took multiple rounds of Joseph Parker, multiple rounds of Mike Perez, multiple rounds of Alexander Povetkin, and AJ hasn't lost a round on my card. So, you know, credit goes to Joshua, credit goes to both guys. Still, for me, it's a fight of what could have been. I kind of felt that the injuries sustained by both guys, particularly Carlos Takam, affected the flow of the fight and affected the direction that the fight was taking. I sort of had this belief that, you know, Takam was looking to stay in there, not be too ambitious in the early rounds, try and make Joshua gas, try and drag Joshua to deep water, and I kind of felt Takam was so badly cut and so badly injured, he had to throw caution to the wind and, you know, get involved in a war earlier than it appeared he initially wanted to, from like the 4th, 5th round onwards. So I kind of felt the fight was you know, enthralling, but somewhat disappointing in the fact that I do believe that the injuries sustained by both men definitely affected the way that the fight went, and slightly disappointed with the stoppage. Again, you know, I'm not saying Takam would have won. It was a relatively one-sided fight, but he was still showing ambition, and he was still coming on strong. So I'd have liked to have seen it go on for a little bit longer. Obviously, hope that Takam recovers from his injuries and can come again. You know, he's emerged from credit. Like to see him back in the heavyweight mix-up soon. As for Anthony Joshua, we'll have to see if his nose is badly broken. You know, we'll have to see how long he needs to be out for, if that's a significant injury. You know, I watched the fight with Mrs. Gossip tonight. It's the first time I've watched an Anthony Joshua fight with her, and she actually said, are the commentators watching a different fight to us? They keep talking about how fit Anthony Joshua is, and this is from a girl who's honestly never watched boxing before. So, you know, the fact that she was picking up in that sort of inaccuracy between what the commentators were saying at times in the fight and what was going on in the ring was quite telling. I don't think Sky have had the best night tonight, and I'll be covering that in a separate video tomorrow, but this was just intended to be my AJ Takam post-fight. So there it is, people. Enthralling but disappointing for a number of reasons in my book. Credit goes to both guys. AJ defends his title, retaining his 100% knockout ratio under difficult circumstances against a game opponent. Takam shows a lot of heart. Once again comes up a little bit short at the elite level. Takam's got a lot to offer, but AJ's in a different class, and Takam is top 10, not top 3. Let me know your thoughts on this fight, guys. Leave your comments in the section below. Did you enjoy it? Was the stoppage early? You know, what did you make of AJ? What did you make of AJ's weight? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up. Give us a follow on Twitter at Boxing Gossip. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button if you're new, or if you haven't done so before. We'll have another video up tomorrow midday to discuss some more thoughts on this fight on the undercard. We'll re-watch the fight before doing the second video, and we'll have a bit of a go at Sky for some of the goings on this build tonight. Once again, leave your comments, hit the thumbs up button, hit subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys watching my channel.